Hi, everyone, and welcome. My name is Erin Errol, Marketing Manager for Phonesuite. I'm thrilled to kick off the very first session of our Phonesuite Deep Dive webinar series. And we know how busy you are, so we've designed these monthly sessions to be high impact, technical, and most importantly, fluff-free. And our goal is to give you the under the hood knowledge that you need to do what you do best. So today we're tackling one of the most requested topics in our portfolio, AI-enhanced recordings and features. Without further ado, I'll hand it over to Kevin to get us started.
Thank you. So a little bit about configuration, and a lot of this to start with is going to be about recording, no matter if we're doing the AI stuff or not. We do get a fair number of tickets about questions and configuration, stuff like that. So it's a good time to go over a few details you may have overlooked. And then we'll get to the fun stuff, which is the new AI features, and of course, Q&A. So things, when we talk about configuration, things that you may have missed during provisioning, getting the right configuration to get the right recordings, making sure compliance is dealt with, figuring out your storage and that stuff. So compliance. As we know, hotels sometimes do collect data like credit card numbers, which we may not want a part of the recording. So just so you guys are aware, there is a recording pause function. So star 96 will do up to a 1 minute pause of a continuous call recording to make sure that that credit card does not get captured. They can also dial star 97 to resume the recording sooner than the 1 minute pause. Those buttons can be assigned via Connect Builder to most phones. I say most, Polycom and Cisco, I believe, are not. But a lot of our common ones, Grandstreams, Yealinks, things like that, you can do that. My favorite method, though a little trickier, is to trigger it via API. We do have a very robust API, so I like the fact that at that point you don't rely on the person to trigger the event, but they open up the window to collect the credit card and it does the action. Of course, though, getting API integration to third-party systems can be a little tricky as well. So advantages and disadvantages to both. Lastly, one of the things most people probably don't know about is we snuck a soft phone in the hospitality console sometime last year. And there is in that soft phone a button to do a recording pause. So 3 different ways. In case you're wondering why that happened, I think for most front desk hotel environments, they want a physical phone. A lot of times when they're dealing with a phone room in the back, they do want a soft phone. And so that's why that was developed. The other thing is recording notification. So when you have a call going to a queue, that queue is recorded. You want to make sure that that require intro MOH is set yes. So the intro MOH would say something like, your call is important to us. Please note that, calls may be recorded for quality assurance. The require make sure that that gets played in full before dispatching to the agent. If you don't set that and the agent's available when they call, the compliance message will not be played in full. So that's an important detail to get set. Recording settings. Now, for a lot of our commercial business outside of hotels, we do a lot of domain-wide recording. A lot of times the hotel does not want to record the guests. And so we do a more, drawing a blank on the word there, a more nuanced configuration. So sometimes this leads to some confusion. So for example, if you set per user recording and the call comes through the queue and then that user answers it, if the queue is not recorded, but the user is, it will not record because the user is not the owner of the call. So we have this idea of who owns the call. In the case of a call coming through a call queue, it's owned by the queue, it's serviced by the agent. Similarly, just because somebody's in a queue when they call out, it's not, the queue recording does not apply. So whenever you're in those situations, I always recommend over apply settings if you're worried about it. Apply it to the user, apply it to the queue, and then you'll be safe when the front desk calls out and when the queue gets a call in. There is also per device recording, but we usually don't use that. It has its own nuances I'm not going to get into today. So storage and quotas, and this is one of the important things. And backing up, one of the things when a customer asks for call recording, there's a few big things you have to ask. One is, what do you want recorded? And the other is, what is the retention policy going to be? So we're not going to store things forever. So, if they just want it for a few weeks, great. If they want it for 7 years, also great, but then we have to do a little bit of offloading. So when you edit a domain, you will see the recording tab. You can set limits here, so you can either give them a quantity of storage or a retention length in days. Usually it's days. You say that they're going to get a month, 2 months, 6 months, whatever. We're going to cut it off at 6 months by default. So if you don't set it, 6 months will take place. So if you have a customer that wants a year, make sure you set that to 365 so that they get the year of retention. Having said that, there are going to be additional fees for longer periods if you don't offload. And usually those customers do want to offload. So recording offload, that's under the call history. There's a recording storage setting. Lets you send the recordings to their own storage. And by the way, you can do this even on a shorter retention period. Sometimes they really want to have physical ownership of that recording. So you can set that up in there and use Amazon S3, Oracle Cloud, Wasabi, and then various like FTP, SFTP, FTPS to their own servers. The AI engine, we talk about recordings. This is an AI feature. AI is transcribing calls. It's going to assess the calls and provide us a lot of information about the calls. And fundamentally, this is a really nice feature because there's always too many calls to listen to. So, whether you're a call center supervisor, whether you're a general manager, you don't have, if you're a call center supervisor, you've got 5 agents. There's just not enough time in the day to listen to every call. Similar to the GM, you're busy doing other stuff. And so this helps you identify, which calls do I want to look at? Do I have a problem or not? What are most of my calls about? There's a lot of great insight here. I made a few test calls so that way I'm not showing you guys real customer data, but here, instead of having a recording to listen to, which is 2 minutes, we have now a nice breakdown of, hey, what's my summary? Oh, they're calling about hotel reservations for Valentine's Day weekend. Great, I know what this call is about. And so it gives you a nice summary. One of the things that's worth making sure that the customer understands is they're not perfect. AI is 80, 90% right. So we have to set proper expectations. But it is useful. This is right. It is about a reservation for Valentine's Day weekend. It's about, I did mention it was a demo call. It's about reservations. We talked about packages. So that's right. The sentiment. Now, sentiment is based on the text, not the audio. So, if you have a customer that's yelling, but the words are nice, it will not pick that up. It will look at the audio at the text of the transcript and say, oh, is this a positive or negative or neutral interaction? So that's what you get here. When you're looking at this in call history, so one thing worth note, these columns. So you're going to not see a lot of the stuff by default. You do have to go to the columns and add the things you want to see. We see here the sentiment throughout the call. So the distribution, this was largely a neutral call. The closing sentiment is the last 30 seconds of the call. So overall, we had a neutral call. And this one's really nice. Just, sometimes you have a negative call, you're calling into support. You're going to have negative words when you call into support at the beginning. If it ends well, sometimes that's the better metric than the fact that it was 50% negative. So that's a really nice thing to look at. And then we can see here the topics. So we generally know what this call is about. And as a supervisor, I have a pretty good idea of, maybe I don't even need to look into this call. It's a reservation. It went fine. Maybe I don't care. to review it all. One of the nice things here is we can look here and I can filter. Now, I don't have any negative closing sentiment, but if I just want to look for bad calls, I can look for negative closing sentiment, filter that down, review those calls, and maybe I'll find out that one of my agents has a lot of negative calls, that they're not settling things. Maybe their language doesn't work as well as we'd like. And so it really provides a lot of nice insight very quickly into how the calls are working. So I guess at this point, we can open up to Q&A.
Yes, great stuff, Kevin. And now that we've seen the how, it's time to move on to your questions and your scenarios that you've entered into the Q&A. So I'm excited to bring on Aaron to lead our Q&A session. Aaron has a pulse on how these AI tools are actually being used in the field, and he's going to help us navigate in the queue. So if you haven't already typed in your question into the GoToWebinar panel in the top right corner of your screen, do it now. Aaron, what are we seeing in the questions bank so far?
Yeah, so a couple of questions here regarding some of the compliance. So let's say that we had a call recorded and the customer, the client calls up and says, hey, for whatever reason, I want that entire call deleted. Is there a way to do that?
Not through the portal today. Generally that's not for compliance reasons. That's not made available in the forefront. As a one-off, we can occasionally go delete one if it's on our storage. If it's on the customer storage, we won't have direct access to that if it's offloaded.
So it's a good reason to offload if you do want to have complete control over your calls. If they're offloaded, you just go into your own storage and delete them.
Well, it's going to be tricky to find the actual recording that way.
Okay.
I'd have to look at that one and see how you would identify it, because in our system, we have the database that links the audio file to the call. And so I'm not actually sure if you could identify that without having my level of access.
Okay. So if that does come up, contact support, but also maybe try and dive into the root cause of why they want it deleted and train them on how to just pause recording during credit card numbers or whatever else.
Yeah.
Very good. All right. Next question. In regards to the AI, since it is transcribing the call and we are seeing the text of that call, is that data used to train an AI model? Is that going to be out there in the world? What's the privacy look like?
Yeah, and I should really double check that. I'm pretty sure it is not allowed to be trained on that data. So that's actually something I believe we pay a little extra just to make sure that it's not trainable. Because obviously, yeah, it is private data.
Next question we had come in is transfers. So let's say that a call comes in and is handled by the front desk agent or the office manager or whatnot, and then that call is transferred perhaps to a guest. Is that call then recorded after the transfer if the recording is turned on for the person who took the call initially?
No, it's not. So at that point when the transfer occurs, the ownership of the call changes. And so, right, the front desk is recorded maybe through the queue. They do a transfer to a room. The room owns the call at that point and would not be recorded.
Okay. And you did say earlier that if in doubt, you can turn on recording on multiple layers, and it's not going to hurt anything. You're not going to get 2 or 3 recordings of the same call.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So it's right. It's not going to make multiple recordings. It's not going to eat extra storage. So it is safe to say, yeah, do the queue, do the users. You just have to watch out that whole domain recording is going to get the guests as well.
Got it. Okay. Next question. What about industry-specific jargon, medical terms, legal terms, things like that? Are those handled well? How do they appear? And is there any option to add custom phrasing or terminology?
Yeah. Oh, I'm pretty sure we put hints in there. So I think you can request like some hints. You'd have to request that from support. I have to double check that, but I'm pretty sure we built that in there. How it does with industry-specific terms, it varies. So some things it will pick up on, and yeah, sometimes it's going to pick a more common term or more common word outside of that terminology. Regrettably, there's not a hospitality model. There actually is, for example, a medical model, which actually is better at picking up medical terms, but there's not a hospitality specific model currently.
Seems like something we need to get get done. Next, let's see here. We looked at industry-specific jargon. So what is the time between when the call ends and when I can look at the transcript?
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, when Aaron earlier said real-time demo, and I was like, well, it's not really real-time. So there's really two ways that this stuff happens. One is real-time transcripts and assessment. The other is post-process. This is a post-process. And so that really is just done that way just because, well, first of all, not a lot of our customers just don't have something up that they would look at in real time. And then it's cheaper and actually more accurate. So we get more time to process. It costs you less. So it is post-processed. It's going to be a few minutes. It might be 5, it might be 15, depends on how busy the servers are. But it's not a long wait.
Okay. Another question came in. How does the transcription work on a three-way conference call?
Ooh. I don't know if it's going to pick up. It's not going to identify all the parties, I think. Yeah, it would not identify all 3 parties. It would recognize that there's a right. Yeah, it would see the bridge as one person, and it would see the agent being recorded or whoever being recorded as one person. So it would not pick up all the parties, but it could. Besides that, it would transcribe.
Okay. And as for call recordings, if one of the parties to the three-way call had their call recorded, it's going to record everyone who happens to be on that three-way call.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see here. A couple other questions came in. We had that transcription. Is the soft phone available for all domains, and is there a cost associated with it?
The soft phone?
Yes.
Yeah, the hospitality soft phone is available. There's no cost to it. So in the hospitality console, when you go to the bottom left to the user profile or user settings or whatever, I forget what it's called, you can click there, and then there's a phone option, and you can choose between basically a desk phone accessory mode and the hospitality soft phone mode. That is a WebRTC soft phone, so just so you're aware, different ports. If they have a really strict firewall, it does use different ports than the desk phone. So if you do have problems, you may need to email support to get some technical details on firewall rules for it. But yeah, it's freely available to use. Yeah.
Great. And that was a question from Jed. We appreciate that. Jamie asked, let's see here. Does reaction also react sensitive info? So does the redaction also redact sensitive info from the AI transcriptions?
Yeah, if you do a recording redaction.
Oop, here it is, dropped out.
Yeah, you'll literally just get blank audio in that time period. So you'll know that there was a redacted period.
Okay. So if the audio isn't recorded, then there can't be a transcription of it.
Exactly.
Okay. But anything recorded in the audio is going to be transcribed. There's no scrubbing of names or anything else?
Not of names. I'm trying to remember. I know that it can scrub PII. I don't remember if we turned that on. Oh, getting some hard engineering questions.
These guys, they're already thinking about it and how they're going to use it, which I love.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
and then I would assume that any profanity, we haven't set up any filters there. So if your poor agent's getting sweared at, that's going to be in the transcription as well.
Yeah. I mean, you might get the word duck. You never know. But I actually, by the way, I was thinking about this earlier. I really want to try the sentiment analysis on "Bless Your Heart" because it sounds nice, but anyone who's been to the South knows it's not. And I really want to see what sentiment analysis says.
And then we had another question here. Can calls be monitored in real time by a supervisor or manager?
Yeah, actually. So, yeah, that's a good question. A little outside the scope of recording, but yeah, a call center supervisor or office manager, when they're looking at the call center in the portal, can click on an agent to do a live listen. And you can listen, whisper, or barge. You start in listen mode. There's also a star code that if the target is a call center agent and you are a supervisor or office manager, you can dial a star code to listen to a target extension. I definitely do not remember that star code. So if you want to know it, email support.
So that way, if you're a call center manager and you see your agents having a real tough time or getting agitated, you can immediately listen to that call and try and figure out what's going on.
Yes.
Very good. We're nearly done on questions here. So if you have any more, please let us know right away. But I had one more here. If a reseller only does one thing different after this webinar, there's one big takeaway, what would it be?
Ooh.
Is it the bless your heart thing?
No. I mean, I think fundamentally, I think you have to understand, people ask for recording or and try to understand, a few key things. What do you want recorded? What kind of retention policy? The question of, if it's a long retention policy, storage, and then how are you going to review it? There's no point in recording something if it's never going to get used. So that's probably the last key is what are you going to do with it? Who's reviewing it? How are they reviewing it? What are you getting recording for? And if you understand that, I think that's going to give you an opportunity to upsell the AI feature as you understand that, well, this GM's never going to have enough time to listen to calls. So let's give them a tool for that. Otherwise, it's, having recording may be very pointless.
Very good. Very good. All right, it looks like that is about it for questions. If you have any others, you've got about 10 seconds to put them in the chat and let us know. But otherwise, I think that's it for our questions.
Okay. Thank you, Kevin and Aaron, and thanks to everyone for those great questions. We are going to wrap things up to respect your schedule. And if we didn't get to your specific question, don't worry, or if you have any more questions, we've captured the log and we'll follow up with you directly. And as a reminder, you'll receive the full replay after today's session. This is just the beginning of our monthly webinar series, so mark your calendars for Wednesday, February 25th at 2:00 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll be shifting gears to look at guest survey features, showing you how to further embed Phonesuite and ConnectWare into the hotel's core operations. If you have any further questions about AI enhanced features, or if you would like to add this feature, please reach out to your Phonesuite representative or reply to our follow-up email. We're here to help you make the most out of this platform. Kevin and Aaron, thanks for the deep dive today. And thank you to our partners. Thank you for everything you do for Phonesuite. We will see you in February.